So if this is going to be a small crowd, you guys can be cameras on talking because I've got a few things to talk about and share some things that are going through my brain. Zoom notification. Oh, I don't think I want to join it on my phone. Okay, I got 1 o'clock. So y'all get ready to go. Welcome you guys on Facebook. This is Denny Delivers, another script role play class. I'm going to go grab a screen share very quickly here, and we'll talk about some things. So here we go. Let's get rid of that, take that off, and then start the slideshow. I trust you can see that. Today's September 8th, 2020, and this is the how to scripting in a C19 market. Someday I'll have to change that title. I can't wait for the day I get to change the title and take the C19 out of it. And I think we're seemingly getting a little bit back to normal in some areas of the country. So I trust you and your family are all safe. Had a good holiday. Just as a reminder, no classes coming Thursday. We'll be back on a regular schedule. After this week, I'm going to be away at a place, my wife's favorite place in West Virginia, a place called the Greenbrier. So we've got some friends celebrating a birthday, so I'll be away and won't be able to be on the call. So just make note of that on your calendar. Also, if you guys have probably already done this yet already, so make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to Denny Delivers, because my intention is, and we are catching up, all the recordings of these classes are on my YouTube channel, and I don't know if any of you guys have been on there. Any feedback you have for me would be great, because this is a new thing for me, and you guys may be a little bit more versed at it than I am. So as I think of things, I'm sharing ideas before we get to the scripting in practice. I'm sharing ideas and thoughts that I have of how that you can start to leverage letting sellers know. We talked about this last week about hitting the jackpot. So that was my first run at it. I'll show you the next slide, I think. Just going to go forward here a little bit. That was what my my assistant did, and she's kind of a little bit better versed in graphics, and that was the graphic she was able to make that I'm going to be posted on my socials to help maybe make the phone ring. Now, I've done a couple of different things. I've had agents out there that are doing this, and the phone is ringing. I've had great feedback from agents that are calling using the scripts, what I'll get to here in a second. And I'm continuing to experiment. You guys have seen these before. Now's the time to, obviously to make hay while the sun's shining. And again, we don't know when this market's going to change. And when you hear the clicks, when you stop hearing the clicks, it's too late. So that's kind of stuff I talked about before. I do have a couple other ideas I want to share with you. So these are different. This is medicine for the mind. This may be able to help you have a stronger mindset if you have any hesitancy at all as far as calling your sellers right now in this market. And just imagine, you all have heard of Publishers Clearinghouse. I don't know how the company makes any money. However, it's kind of like your seller could be the winner of the Publishers Clearinghouse. And here this seller's won $25,000. Well, notice I didn't use the one where the seller was winning $1 million, because I don't really know any sellers in the market that are winning millions of dollars. However, they could have been bumped at least $25,000 or more. And I'm attempting to give you metaphors, pictures, graphics that you can use in your socials, or it may just be good medicine for your mind to realize, to give you enough strength and willpower. If you have any hesitancy of calling, basically you're not lead generating, you're asking people if they would be interested in winning the Publishers Clearinghouse. All right, so that's a new one this week. Quick message I want to talk about, because obviously being a bold coach, it's time to detox. And we were just in Alaska, and my wife's brother and his wife, they're staying with us temporarily. They're in between houses, and they have all this detox stuff. I mean, they get powders and they get flushes and they get bone soup and all this other stuff. I mean, some people take it pretty seriously, and it's a serious strategy for health, right? However, as I was walking this morning and listening to a podcast, it came to my attention, it actually was yesterday morning, that some of us, some agents, and maybe some people on this call have to do some detoxing of their mind. Of course, you know, BOLD is about be, do, have, and about being before you have. And I know that some of us from time to time probably struggle with some preconceived ideas that aren't true. And that, particularly when it comes to lead generation. And, you know, I talk to agents all the time, and even my team or whatever, and there seems to be this constant, it's a constant climbing a hill of jelly beans to get up to speed in order to make the calls. And the reason I'm having this conversation with you is that we have been having some good script practice at the kitchen table. I'm just concerned, and you guys can pipe in here because it's just a family really right now. How are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with making outbound contacts? Because I don't know, this market, obviously, as we talked about it, the GOAT market, and it's a fantastic market for sellers, and there's a whole lot more receptibility, if that's a word. There's a better reception right now that sellers have of us calling and letting them know this could be a publisher's clearinghouse market, this could be a hit the jackpot market, this could be a market that is white hot, all words we've used before. How are you doing with your outbound calls? So anybody willing to share? I'm going to go off screen just for a second so I can see who we got. We got a whole group of people here. But anybody want to put in the chat that, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably not up where you need to be?
Nope.
Huh.
Nope, not at all.
What's that Saints thing for there? Come on, man. Tempest got you on Sunday. Got your number. 7. Good. Come on, put them on there, you guys. Keep putting them on there. I'm going to keep talking. Do you realize that basically you have to go through a detox? And I've never done one, and, you know, maybe I should from a health standpoint. However, the things that we hang on to in our minds that aren't true. For example, I heard a funny line the other day. For example, if you're on a diet and you want to be healthy, you know, and whether or not you want to lose weight or just want to be healthier, you probably don't want to hang out at the Krispy Kreme. We finally have our own Krispy Kreme with hot donuts, the whole thing. Or I travel a lot, and I don't care where you go, you can be 3 terminals away and you can smell Cinnabons to 3 terminals away. Once you smell that kind of thing, you don't want to start walking towards a Cinnabon thinking, I'm just going to go check it out. I'm just going to go look at it. No, you have to say no to that temptation, because here's the thing. If you're having any kind of like stumbling blocks of getting into lead generation, and I don't even like that word because it's like, we fight it all the time. I want you to have some sort of practice where you can start changing those thoughts. And basically it starts by making the decision. I'm attempting to, in the slides previous to this, to give you different mental metaphors of how or why you're coming from contribution. And all the scripts in the world that you can memorize, you're going to get so good at the kitchen table by being on these calls. You're going to be awesome. However, I want you to start putting to practice the same skills of lead generation so you can be at more kitchen tables. Does that make sense? And this is what I'm working with at my team. We have basically stopped the kitchen table conversations, and we are working on outbound calls using, you know, the message of the moment. I'll show you the slides. You've seen them again. And I'd like to practice those things a little bit today, because the scripts are they work, and there's a higher acceptance rate out there. And the thing we worked on today is this. I realized some of my team members, when they got the yes, I'm interested in hearing more about why I should be on the market now, they kind of froze. And I use the analogy, you know, that, you know, you're out fishing for a trophy fish, and you never think you're going to catch one, which is something you have to detox out of your mind. However, when they say yes, it's like hooking a fish. Do you know how to land it? So I'd like to spend some time working on that, unless you're going to take me in a different direction. Remember, this is your time, not mine. So let me just go back to the slideshow, because I want to share something else with you, kind of an aha that I had. So this is one of the scripts, outbound calls we're working on. And I move this up a little bit. And it's easily adapted, you guys, to just regular cold calls. Now, I'm not looking at chat right now. If Sunny's looking at it, she can let me know. Is anybody using this script for outbound calls? This is the should be sellers, and the next one I think is the could be sellers. This one says, hey, look, we have an extreme shortage of homes for sale, and I wondered if you were interested in hearing the 7 reasons why a seller should be on the market now. Anybody using that one or this one, care and concern, and if it's a cold call, you don't even talk about the first paragraph. Hey, I wanted to let you know there's an extreme shortage of homes for sale, and if you could sell your home for more money now, would you entertain selling now versus later? Or you could just change it. Would you entertain selling now is really the question. So take yourself off mute and let me know so I don't have to go back and forth on a screenshot. Is anybody using these scripts or another script and having success with it?
Yes.
There's one. Thank you. Keep going.
Yes, but I'm using a different script, Denny.
That's okay.
I'm going to start using this one, though.
Well, the other one must not be working then, right?
No, it's working. This COVID has given me an excuse to call. I say, hey, you know, Paul Lambert, hey, I'm with so-and-so, and we've talked real estate in the past, and I'm just calling to let you know that I'm wondering how, I'm hoping you and your family are safe at this time, and I pause a little bit, and then they'll respond, and then I go into, you know, the interest rates are extremely low right now. I want to let you know about that, blah, blah, blah. Well,
Okay.
I've had a lot of luck with it with my contacts because it's giving me a real excuse to call.
Thank you. Well, anybody else? Sonny, I don't know if you're listening or not. I don't know. Is there anything in the chat that I need to know about?
No, nothing's on the chat.
Okay, thank you. All right, so here's the thing. Why don't we just practice this, okay? And again, I am attempting to get better at outbound calls, and I didn't build my business on that because I worked for a developer for 15 years and people came into me. That's why I developed my skill at the table, because I had people coming into me. However, if you're great at asking questions and you're great at scripts, they work when you outbound calls. So who would like to role play with me? And I don't care how you do it. And then let's just practice this a couple times. But here's the deal, guys. There's probably never been a better time to make outbound calls. I understand care and concern calls during COVID. That was awesome. However, we're going to be, you know, these are publisher clearinghouse calls. Now I guess Ed McMahon used to be the dude. Now he's not there anymore. I don't know who the dude is now. However, imagine, would somebody be upset by taking a publisher clearinghouse call? So who wants to role play with me just as I'm going to call you cold, and I don't care if you're nice or mean, okay? Let's just, because that's the reality. You're going to find some people that are hungry and some people aren't. Who's up?
I'll go.
Okay. Again, I'm on the screen right here. So, Mark. Oh my gosh. Okay, Mark. Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this Mark?
Mark, yeah.
Hey, Mark. This is Danny Grimes, Keller Williams. Listen, I just want to take a quick second and let you know that we have an extreme shortage of inventory in the market right now. And I was just curious if you thought about selling your house in this white hot market.
No, I really hadn't thought about it. What's happening?
Well, have you not seen the news?
No, but I didn't know my neighborhood was selling that well.
Yes, as a matter of fact, inventory has never been lower. Would you be interested in knowing what this white hot market could deliver you as far as, well, let me just, so I'm winging it now because with this, you can't have everything scripted. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm stumbling here a little bit and learning with you guys. So would you be interested in knowing what your home would bring in this white hot market?
Sure, I'm always interested.
Awesome. So now I'm going to go for the appointment. Now we were role playing, I'm going to come back to you in a second. We were role playing this with absentee owners, and we have a lot of absentee owners here in South Florida. I know you guys in Alaska and around the country, you probably have some people that may not be there. It might, you know, whatever. So sometimes they're not even going to be here. So Mark, I'm just kind of curious, are you in town now?
I am.
All right. So I'd like to come over. Do you mind if I come over? Well, I'd like to come over and take a look at your home so I can give you an accurate opinion. I'm available at 3 or 4. All right. So now which way you want to go with that?
Yeah, let's get together. I'd love to know what you have to say.
All right. Now again, is that, you guys, is that call realistic, or is Mark just a nice guy?
It's very realistic. It happens all the time on these calls lately.
Ah, yes, nice. Who else has an opinion about this, you guys? Is that realistic, yes or no?
I have not found that to be the case very much. Well, generally they'll say, yeah, I'm interested. Can you send me something? Or they've already said, I can check on Zillow. And then you have to go into that conversation. But I wish it was that easy.
Well, okay, so thank you, Al. And Al's, of course, as you know, is a regular. The issue is that when I ask the question, does that seem realistic? If your mind automatically, you know, kind of like a yes, no thing went to, no, that is not realistic. I never get calls like that. Then I think you need to get some detox powder, because that basically is a mindset. I'm not saying that they're all going to look like that. However, if your expectations, I'm not really talking to you, Al, because I want you to be on maybe a call that you get, and I'll let somebody else handle it. And I know David's making a lot of calls, or we'll handle it. One of the things I'd like to do with the first part of this class, you guys, is to get you a little jazzed up about using a tool that works, because I know people out there are using it, and making some outbound calls. This is kind of like a period of time in which you can do it. So, David, you're doing a lot of calls. You've used some of these scripts. Would you role play with Al? And Al's going to be he's going to be cranky, I think.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hello? Yeah, is this Al?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Al, this is David Jacoby with Keller Williams Realty. I'm giving you a quick call over here. Would like to give you some valuable information here in your neighborhood, and, you know, followed up with an interesting question. Al, I just listed a house in your neighborhood for $1.2 million with multiple offers. There's another house that's closed 2 weeks ago with $100,000 above asking. And you might ask yourself, what does that have to do with me? The reason I'm calling you about this is I'm just curious, who do you know right now that would love to put some extra money in their pocket because the market is hot?
You said you're getting over 100,000 above value or asking price?
Yeah, I can give you the address. 2 weeks ago, it closed 100,000 above asking, and also another one we listed 1.2 million with multiple offers. So we have a shortage of inventory, and there's 5-6 buyers for every house right now in the market.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that strong. There's a couple others in the neighborhood that have been on the market for some time.
Right. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Would you consider making a move if you could get top dollar for your home right now?
I don't know if I can believe that it's going above that kind of price over asking, but can you send me something on that?
I can send you, and if you're open to it, why don't we have a short meeting? You could Google my name. I'm a licensed realtor, David Jacoby Keller Williams. And if you're open, why don't we get together for 5-10 minutes? I'll offer you a lot of value about what's going on in the market right now, and no strings attached. If you don't want to move forward, we just have met, and we'll stay in touch. How does that sound to you?
No, I mean, I know the market's good right now, but I didn't realize I was bringing those kind of numbers in.
Okay. Would you be?
Other than in some of your contact information, I will take a look at that.
Okay. Could I take your email, Al?
Yeah, al@albaxter.com.
All right. So I'm going to send you my information with some recent comps, and let's stay in touch. Or maybe I'll follow up with you in a day or two, and you let me know if that's something you would like to follow up on, and have a short meeting. Is that fair enough?
That's very fair.
Okay.
Appreciate your call.
Nice talking to you, Al. Take care.
All right. Now, David does, David has an area, and I know, that he's probably calling in his geographic area, and notice how he had a different intro into it, which I thought was awesome. Any feedback on that? Now, Al, you were attempting to be a little bit ornery, and I think the way he came out of the gate appealed to your sense of natural sense of greed, like $100,000 more. In my estimation of how I thought you were going to react to David's call, you softened, I think, a little bit when you heard that number. So I could be wrong.
I did.
So if you didn't write that down, and you can't lie about it. However, you can say we're hearing that there's multiple offers coming in. I just heard of somebody the other day that had $100,000 over asking price. Now, okay. So how did you guys now comment on that? How did that? Well, I'll start with you, Al. How'd that feel if you were a real seller? Was that realistic?
Well, depending on the neighborhood you're in, yeah, it could be. I mean, I know here in Arizona or Phoenix, we had one house last month closed at $546,000 over asking price. The new construction, but yeah, it's there's crazy things happening, but they're not. Most generally, they're not quite that high.
So my question is, I mean, do you think that might turn into an appointment? Is there a better chance that it's going to turn into an appointment and a listing sold because you made the outbound call?
Oh, no doubt.
And would you think that seller would have found your desk and knocked on it? So I'm asking again, if that's a realistic, is that a realistic outcome? So it wasn't a yes, come on over, I'm ready to sign today. However, I'm interested in looking at it. Now, anybody want to comment on that? Or in fact, probably what I'm working with at my team is this. I'm telling my team the internet is down. There is no email. Because my team was, I think, using email as a crutch. I'm not saying you did, David, because he brought it up. We were offering in our role play, so let me email you something. Stop it. No, because you're not going to be able to build a relationship that way. Sometimes you have to default to that. Anybody want to take a different angle on where I thought that was like a 10 on 10 out of the gate. Anybody else would want to do a role play, and you can be the agent and let somebody else be the seller and you can be any way you want, because if somebody basically, if you've heard it and you want to role play it, we'll take it on.
Dang, I just have a quick story, kind of along those exact same lines.
All right, Christy, go.
So that actually happened to me about 6 weeks ago. I had somebody in the database, they popped up and they were like, it was just a check-in, someone that's kind of inquired about value in the past, but never met with them or anything in the past. So I call her up and I'm like, instead of just calling and checking in, I'm like, I'm going to call her with her value. She lives in a condo complex, super easy. She's always said, I'll probably sell if the price is right. So I just called her and I just said, hey, just to let you know, the value, the condos in your neighborhood are selling at the price that you're ready to sell at. Are you still interested in selling? And she goes, yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm in the process of buying a house in a different city. And I was just deciding on whether or not I wanted to rent or sell. And I said, she goes, and I'm actually, if you think I can get that, then I will sell. And so the interesting thing about it is I got a listing appointment with her the following 2 days later, and she signed the listing paperwork and she penned it at that price. But the interesting thing to my observation is you could look at it both ways. One is, where was her other, why didn't her agent she's working with in that other area, which is only 45 minutes from me, working with her, why hadn't he tried to get that listing yet? And I could have easily missed an opportunity had I been one day late.
Great story. I think David has a similar story too. Anybody else want to do the role play next? Does anyone see any opportunity on David's, how you would have done something a little bit differently? There's one thing that popped into my mind, not from the start. He was like excellent out of the gate. That would stop a Mack truck with his script out of the gate. And then Al was attempting. He was kind of like, So anyone have any ideas where there was an opportunity to take that conversation?
Maybe
Mark,
try a little,
you would say something, Mark. Come on.
try maybe 3 times to get an appointment before you consent to the email.
Yes, that could be one. Yes, you could have done that, David. And again, we're not being critical. We're just brainstorming here. Yep. Any other comments?
Maybe I could have offered Al, if you know that you could get now way, way above what you could get in a normal market, 100, 200 grand, would that rouse your interest enough to have a meeting with me?
Yeah, I mean, if it's what you're saying, in fact, reality, yeah, it'd be very interesting talking to you. If not me, my wife for sure.
Okay, so why don't we get together? You know, I mean, what's your schedule? What mornings or evening work better for you?
Yeah, early evenings.
Okay, can we get together today at 6 o'clock or tomorrow at 7 o'clock better?
There you go. So now there's the second chance. Here's one thing I want to add to that is this. I don't believe that we can send them information to document where their home will sell, because you go back to my theory is this: you don't know what the top value is until you expose it to the market. You can send comps, however, that doesn't explain comps plus what. Here's something I want you to lock into your brain, and this will help you close. So I'll step into your conversation at some point in time. So Al, you send me an email. Well, I can send you an email of what happened. However, I have to show you what I think may happen. So I'm available today, or tomorrow morning be better. Because it's it's like when a lot of times I'm on the chats with a bold group and well, give me a script for this. I can't give you a script for that. It's a conversation. And I can ask a question. So isn't it true that we really need the opportunity, don't we, to sit down and show them the direction of the market and why we think. Is there something else I can help with? My watch is talking to me. I have no idea why. And we can show them strategic positioning. Show them. So y'all get that, right? I mean, I don't email. I can email out stuff, and well, you can just download Zillow. However, Zillow does not think about tomorrow. It only looks at today. I want to show you what I think we can do tomorrow. Does that resonate with anybody?
Denny, just to follow up on that is, and I may have just missed it in the conversation, I'd like to know what having an extra, getting this home sold and maybe getting a little extra, what that will mean in his life. What will that allow them to do? What's the emotional trigger so I can give some thought to that before I arrive?
Totally, that's exactly what I was thinking. The opportunity at some point in time was, so Al, let me ask you, if you basically hit the lottery on your house and add an extra $100,000 or $200,000 more than you thought, what would you do next? That's where I'd have probably taken him. I'd have got him off the facts and figures. I'd have him dream a little bit. So if you sold your home for a tippy top dollar, what would you do next, Al? So you get them into the emotion. Well, I'd like to have a place. I'd like to have a cabin on the lake. I'd like to be closer to the water. I'd like to be closer to the grandkids. Now you have some emotional hooks in them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would probably want to downsize at this point in our life. Kids are gone, and we got more house than what we need. So
yes.
Yeah, I want something with a little less maintenance.
Yeah. So there you go. And then it gives you another conversation, and now you're letting them dream a little bit. Because you think basically, I believe, here's my mindset. I want to implant this like Vulcan into your brain. People are sitting around thinking, what percent of people in the marketplace right now? Only 10% move, because every 10 years somebody moves. However, what percent of the people would like to move if they thought it was an optimum time to do it? Only 10% really do in a normal market. What percent of the people that you have that you might be able to call are having those thoughts or those conversations among their family thinking, man, this market's really good. I'm hearing about it. What if we could sell our house? Some people don't even think you can sell in this market, let alone sell and put money in your pocket. So somebody give me a guess. Guess, you think 50% of the people out there are at least wondering about what their home might be worth in this market, and if they could sell for top dollar, would like to have something bigger, smaller, north or south? So if you had a 50% acceptance rate of making calls to at least have a conversation, would you make more calls?
Well, yeah, that's a pretty high percentage, but that's definitely a big incentive.
So I see.
There's a chat. Yep.
Thank you very much. All right, Jenny. All right, so here we go. Let's handle this. Thanks so much for participating, Jenny. I'm having a commission challenge with an expired listing. I tried all the standard objection handlers, but the challenge is the agent who it expired with offered to drop the commission, cost to 4.5%. So she hasn't pulled the trigger with me, but hasn't signed with her. So are you saying, all right, Jenny, can you talk?
Yeah, I can. I'm here.
Thank you. So are you saying it's expired and the other commissions, the other agent's going to drop it to 4? Did the other agent take it for 4.5%?
The other agent offered to drop it to 4.5%, but she hasn't signed with her or me. I did the listing presentation. I handled the objection. I even went as far as when I followed up again, that she mentioned that, say, okay, so how would you feel if you listed with this agent at 4.5%? You know, the agent that you had it listed with for 6 months and was unable to sell it, how would you feel if, you know, you spent another 6 months and then I tied it into the motivation and all of that, which is she wants to retire to Tampa. But she still's like, well, I got to think about it. I got to talk to my husband. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do right now. It's just, you know, I don't understand why these agents are calling me or interested in selling my home. Where were you guys when my home was on the market? So but she keeps like kind of bringing it back to the 4.5% is the reason that she hasn't pulled the trigger with me.
All right. So, all right. So you want me to role play that with you?
Sure.
So so number one, you know, there's a lot of things there. So you be her. You don't be you. You be her, and I don't care. You know, you just attempt to be her. So are you saying, Jenny, if I listed for 4.5%, you would ready to move forward with me today?
Yeah. Well, if you drop it to 4.5%, I'd consider that.
Okay, so you consider it. That you're not saying you make a decision to list with me.
Well, I'd have to talk to my husband.
Okay, so is he available via cell phone?
Well, I talk to him when he gets home from work.
Okay, so why don't you talk to him and ask him, and then we can find out if it's a doable thing,
Mhm.
and then we can have a meeting after that. How's that?
Okay, that would work.
All right. So now here's the thing. Now, gang, you guys know, obviously, you know, you want to have both decision makers there if possible. Sometimes it's not possible. However, how many people believe that no matter what you'd say there, most likely it's going to defer back to the husband or the other spouse or whatever, and the probability of a great outcome is less than if you're talking to both of them? How many would agree with that?
I agree.
All right. So is that what happened? There was no husband there?
No, when I did the listing presentation, he was there. I even heard him say that it was a great presentation, that he was really impressed with everything that I had to offer, all of those things. That's why I was like, why are they not signing? Like that day, they're like, we're going to talk it over. We're going to get back to you. I followed up, and then she said, well, she spoke to that agent, and the agent offered to reduce the commission to 4.5%. So she doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
And so we had a conversation.
Could be a lie.
Probably. I don't know.
So let's just say the husband's there so we can have this role play, okay?
Okay.
So are you saying then will you be prepared to go with me if basically that I charge 4.5%?
Yeah, I can give you a shot for 4.5%.
Okay, so now why would I do that? Now again, there's more than one way to play a chess match, and there's another question you could ask first.
Isolating.
Exactly. I'm attempting to isolate, because here's the thing. If you answer the commission question and she's still not ready to move forward with you, then stop.
Okay.
So then if we can agree on, so then the next question would be then, so let me ask you this, Jenny, are you more interested in what you pay in commission or what you net?
I'm interested in what I net. I'm going to get as much money out of it as I can.
Okay, so if I can demonstrate to you that through the way we work, you're going to net more money, then this could have been another easy question, maybe even before the other one. If I can show you that I can net you more money, are you ready to move forward with me?
I kind of walked her through that already in the listing presentation when she brought up the commission concern.
Hang on, got to be the seller.
Okay. Yeah. If I can net more money, then yeah, I'd move forward with that.
Okay. So, by the way, have you ever made a bad decision? Maybe you bought a car. I'm going to think of an analogy really quick here. And maybe had bad meal at a restaurant. You ever had a bad meal at a restaurant?
Yeah, of course. I think everybody has.
And then would you then decide if the owner of the restaurant came out and said, look, I'm sorry you had a bad meal. Why don't you just come back? You can come back and I'll discount the food from now on. Would that make you want to come back?
Not if the food won't be better.
And if you went to a doctor and he wasn't making you better, and the doctor said, well, I'll tell you what, I feel bad you're not getting better. I'll reduce my fee if you keep coming back. Would you do that?
Probably not.
So does it make any sense to use the wrong medicine just because it's cheaper?
Probably not.
So is there any reason why you should even be considering the other agent? I'm sure they're a nice person. However, if they're not getting the job done, you think you're going to get the job done just because they're going to earn less money?
I don't know. I just, she's with a good company, and I think she did really nice pictures, and they're supposed to be really great with the online marketing. So I don't see why she wouldn't be able to sell it this time around. I think it was just COVID that got in the way.
Really? Okay. Anybody want to take over? I mean, I can keep going. However, I like you guys to play. It's an interesting position on the board right now because other things are coming into play. Who wants to take over?
Well, Denny, I would ask why you haven't signed with the other agent already then.
Keep going. Good question.
I was just taking some time to consider my options and decide what I want to do because I wanted to be in Tampa by the end of summer, and here I am.
By the end of summer. So we're already in September. So we've already missed that window.
Right.
So time is of the essence for you to get this house sold, right?
Yeah, I want to get it sold as soon as possible, but I wanted to be there before the end of summer. So at this point, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do.
Do you think most buyers agents are going to bring someone by to a house that pays less commission than a house that pays a full commission?
I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't show it. Aren't you guys, aren't you guys supposed to show it regardless of the commission?
Sure. Yeah, if it fits the needs of the buyer, absolutely. But there's lots of homes that fit the needs of the buyers. So would you want to handicap your home against all the other homes that are in the market?
I obviously I don't want that. I want my home to get the most exposure possible.
Okay. Well, that's what we've talked about that, our team can deliver for you. We've got the best marketing. We spend $100,000 a month in marketing. We promote it.
Hang on, James. Stay in questions. You're doing great.
Right. Okay. Well, what would you want us to do to get your home sold the quickest way possible?
Well, I mean, can you bring some buyers to take a look at it, or do you have buyers that are currently interested that would buy it now the way it is?
Well, when you say now the way it is, what do you think is not perfect about the house currently? What would make it a 10 for selling?
Well, I mean,
hang on a second. I want to stop here because that was a great deal there. The way you handled that, James. You wanted to get clarity on what she's asking, and a lot of agents will assume and just kind of roll right over that. Mm-hmm. And it may not even be, the one thing you said though I would question, it may not be condition. The way it is could be the COVID environment. The way it is could be the commission structure. The way it is, whatever. However, notice when you're in doubt, ask. Nice job on that one. I just want to point that out. Good job.
Were there any other homes that sold in the last 6 months?
Yeah, there's been a few. There's not a lot of listings active right now. The inventory is limited, but there have been a few, and I even walked her through. I kind of showed her why her home sat on the market and how she was chasing the market.
Going out of role. Don't go out of role. You're the seller. You're not the agent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just answering his question. That wasn't.
You can answer the question as a seller.
Yeah. Yeah, there's others on the market.
But there have been homes that sold in the last 6 months. Why do you think those homes sold and yours didn't?
I don't know. My home was on the market. I don't know why it didn't
What sort
sell.
of feedback did your agent previously give you?
Not much feedback. I mean, there was people interested. A few people came by. Like I said, we did the nice pictures. She came back to do a video when this COVID thing started.
Did your agent
And that's pretty
follow-
much it.
Did the agent follow up with the buyers, agents who brought their buyers to see your house to see if they ultimately bought something?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wouldn't you want an agent that's working hard on your behalf to get your home sold rather than waiting for somebody to call them?
Yeah, of course.
Somebody go to the heart. Go to the heart.
So what do you think that this agent that you're considering, that had it for 6 months and didn't sell, what do you think they're going to do differently that they didn't do before?
I'm not sure. I mean, you know, the online marketing that she mentioned.
Well, everybody can do online marketing and everybody can put it in the MLS and have it syndicated. But if you're not networking and using your contacts to get people to come and show the home, how do you think that's going to change if you continue to do the same thing?
Well, I'm sure she's doing that. I mean, you know, she's with a big company, like I said, and they're well known. So, you know, I would assume that she's doing that.
Somebody take it. Somebody land the plane. Go to the heart of it. What do you really want to know if you're the agent right there?
Do you really want to sell?
Yeah, I think there's motivation there. She has to move to Tampa, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we go on to something else. This is good. So let me just ask you, what would have to happen for you to do business with me today?
We'll reduce your commission to the 4.5, and I'll consider listing. I'll go ahead and list it with you.
So are you saying that basically, again, going to 4.5, you're concerned more about what you net though than what you pay in commission? Is that right?
Yes.
Right. So if we can agree on that, are you ready to move forward with me today?
Yes.
What I'm attempting to do here, guys, is to pin her down, to find out what it is, isolate what it is. Now, I still have to demonstrate why 4.5% is not a good thing. And you guys are on that, James, you were on that about, you know, earning less and whatever. So we still have to deal with that. However, I got the commitment. Now, how could you do that? And let's take 3 minutes with just that right there.
Okay.
How would you convince her that you're the agent and the 4.5% should not be? And you don't even have to answer. What are the questions you would ask her to get her to see that listening with you would be better? And there's more than one. I'm not saying there's just one question. What comes to your mind? Let's see what the top 3 or 4 questions would be right now.
But Denny, if your other agent was offering it for a lower commission, I'm not going to use a percentage, versus a higher commission, and she's got other listings, what kind of effort do you think they're going to put in on something that's paying them less money?
Yes. However, the way you could frame that is if they were getting all the full commission and were unsuccessful, do you think they're going to work harder now, earning like almost half?
I would hope so. I mean, that's your job, right?
Well, and it goes back. There's other houses out there that aren't.
If your boss came to you at your job and said, I'm going to pay you 1/3 less than what I've been paying you for the last 10 years, what do you think your effort would be?
Probably not great.
One more question, then we'll move on. Somebody else. Thanks, Mark.
Denny, I missed part of this earlier, so I may be repeating something, but I would ask her if she's actually moving, would you say, in Florida to
She went to Tampa.
Tampa.
or whatever, if she's going to be buying, knowing what the market is today, do you think she's better off buying today or 6 months from now if, in fact, the same agent isn't able to move that property?
So yes, I mean, you could do that, you know, probably to get to I'll just have the last word on this, is that you guys are hitting around it. However, I think a better question, the way I would structure the question with a 4.5%, let me ask you this. How are they discounting it? Are they going to take it off the listing side, or are they going to take it off the buyer side?
I don't think she knows. I don't know.
You're the seller.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, so they technically speaking, they could be earning the same, and it's all coming off the buyer side. You think that would make your house more attractive?
No.
So what would you say if I could sell your home for free? Would you be interested?
Sell my home for free?
Yeah, I mean, you pay the buyer commission because you don't want to. You want the help of the other agents, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
What if I could demonstrate to you that I'm free?
Okay, that would be great. Free is always good.
Well, if you can get them to that point, particularly if you're on the phone, and then you set up the appointment, then you'll have to demonstrate how you can basically that your services are free, and hiring the wrong agent is not. And then you go through the thing about negotiating, you go through the thing about pricing right, blah blah blah. So I don't know, Jenny, do you get any information, any ideas of how you can handle this?
I mean, all of these questions and objection handlers I've kind of hit her with already. I like the question. I think it was the way Mark posed the question. I think I can revisit that. Just kind of really bringing the point across of how much harder do you think she's going to work if she wasn't doing if she didn't get you the results you wanted by when she was getting paid a full commission. What do you think the effort she's going to put forth looks like now, and I kind of go into that. But I've isolated, I've asked her if there's any other reasons that she wouldn't list with me right now. It kind of comes down to this, and her just being back and forth, I guess, with the husband about the commission cost and all of that. So I mean, I'm gonna follow up. I have to follow up with her again this afternoon, but yeah, that's where we've been at. We've been talking for this is probably the third time I call her about this now after the listing presentation. So, and she still hasn't pulled the trigger with anybody.
Sounds like, Jenny, two things is you may need to create an environment where there's demand for their home that hasn't been there in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, I don't know whether it's common in your area or not, but when a property's not selling, sometimes an agent does the opposite. They put a bonus on the house to get it sold to draw more attention than to cut the commission.
Yeah.
Well, it's not selling. You know why it's not selling, don't you?
It was overpriced.
There you go. Is it still overpriced?
It is. It was, and I showed her. What I did in the listing presentation was that I walked her through what it looked like, what the market looked like when she listed, and how the properties were priced, the ones that sold quickly and the ones that sat on the market. And I showed her quite a few that sold during COVID in her community. Within 15 days, 30 days were under contract in her price point. So she saw all of that. I walked her through that, and I showed her how she was basically priced wrong and chasing the market, and she agreed that the agent priced it too high, that her and her husband both had thought that when she did price it where she priced it. So I've shown her that. She knows that.
Well, I don't think there's something hidden, and I just wonder if there's not a personal relationship or some sort of an emotional tie or a sense of obligation they feel, because from a business decision, it makes no sense or what she's
For
thinking.
me either. Yeah, that's why I'm I know that I've hit everything, all the objections, and kind of tackled them one by one. And I know that I've given her sufficient information to make a decision at this point, and she's still kind of back and forth on it. You might be right. Maybe there's a personal relationship that's kind of holding her back. I don't know.
There's something hidden. Last idea, and we'll move on. This, Jenny, why don't you get her on a Zoom call? All you guys, let's all pile on. We'll all script her to death. Right?
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate
Thanks, Denny.
Yes. Let us know how it goes. Here's my thought of the day, and we'll go on into something. 1 second, Amber Alert. I like to watch cooking shows, and I eat a very boring diet. I'm not a master chef. My wife doesn't cook at all anymore. And however, I love how many people watch Iron Chef or some of these cooking things. You ever see them look at a cookbook? And what we're working on here, you guys, and this is the picture I want to give you is this, is that if I were going to become a chef and go to culinary school or chefery school or whatever it's called, I would have to learn the basics. I can chop onions, however, there's a lot I have to learn. That reminds me of people that are on, the new people come into real estate and they're holding on, they want the script. What we're doing, you guys, is beginning to teach thinking. Because there's that whole conversation we had could not be a script. It's a series of questions, and people have asked me, well, can I have those questions? Well, they wouldn't be any good because you have to then add your own ingredients based on what's going on with what you're making. So Iron Chef's a great show to watch. They have an hour to make all these dishes. They don't know what the ingredients are going to be. It's going to be sardines one day. It's going to be, you know, filet mignon another day, or seafood and whatever. There's nobody looking at a cookbook. And do you all see the metaphor is that as the more experienced you get, you understand, you look at the pantry, we look at the arsenal of scripts, which are really questions, right? And we strategically pull the questions out in order to make the dish to get them to where we want to go. And I don't know why, maybe that means nothing to you. I just thought it was a new way of explaining things. As you know, I'm always looking for ways to explain things and give you a picture of what type of mastery we're working towards. Where any situation with any type of buyer or seller, we will be able to have a conversation to get to them to some point of understanding. It won't always be the sale, which leads me to this. This is a situation you might run into. And I don't know if I have time for both of them. However, this is one. This was a script from a particular seller that acknowledged that right now, basically, their home is worth more. So we were using the script, you know, look, you know, this is a jackpot market. And they're saying I lack a proper motivation to sell the house at this time. I don't know where I'd go. And I've not done any research, and I haven't done a lot of research because COVID's going on and I'm just not getting out looking at different locations. Who wants to take a stab at what questions? This won't be a role play. However, if this was a seller you were talking to, what would you do to see, how would you probe this to find out if there's any room here to have a conversation beyond this?
Well, I think I'd have to ask about the COVID, what they really feel about that. Is it coming in contact with other people? You need to wear masks, etc. I really try to probe that.
Well,
So
the COVID for them, though, Jim, is they don't feel safe going out looking at different areas and properties because of COVID. It's not people coming in their house. That's how I understand what they said. I also feel that because of the COVID, we can't examine our options with it. So it's a seller that understands they can hit the jackpot. However, they don't know where to go. We covered that a little bit last week. And, you know, is this somebody you could turn around? And if so, and I'm not saying you can or can't, how would you handle that bundle of stuff right there? Just conceptually, how would you handle it? What questions would you ask to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop? Any feedback on that? You think it's a listing? I don't know if anybody's typing. I'm going to get it.
What if you did the approach where they could stay in the house for another 4 months after they sold it with a lease back, and then have the ability to look for their home at that point with you helping them online?
Well, okay. All right, good. And all right, I got it, James. Great question. And I'll just take the role here because I know this scenario. Well, you know, we like in fact, somebody asked me if I would sell my house, right? And I built a house 25 years ago. I've lived in it most of that time, except when I was separated. However, I just got it redone. And I like my house. And so it's kind of like James, you asked me that question. So here's the thing, James. You know, I know it's a jackpot market, and you're asking me if I'd sell it. I guess there's a number that might make me sell it. I just don't think it will be market realistic. Where would you go with that, James?
What's the number?
That's a great question. You know, that's a great question. And so that's kind of it pins me. It's like, okay, well, let's say my house is worth 800 realistically in the marketplace, and I'd probably need double that.
Okay. So you're looking at $1 million for the house.
Yeah, and I'm even lukewarm about that. So what is that telling you?
You have no motivation to move.
No, not no, just low. I mean, everyone has some motivation, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe no motivation. However, wouldn't that be a quick conversation to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop?
You're saying to ask what would their motivation be to move at that point?
Well, when you go back to this, let me just go back to the script here, this scenario real quick. That's the seller. Let me get to it here. I know my house is worth more than ever. I just don't have the motivation to sell it. I don't know where I'd go anyway. So now, yeah, then the COVID thing is added there. So one of the things I want you to recognize in this is that you can't catch how many variables do you see rolling around in what their thought pattern is?
I'm going to key into the first sentence, is that it has never been and may never be again worth as much. What would it mean to you if your home was worth less a year from now?
Well, we like it here. We don't have a lot of motivation.
What about if you could go anywhere, where would you want to live? If you could have your perfect place, where would that be?
Yes, and okay, great question. Here's my thought, you guys, on this, and I'll ask your opinion. I've had a little bit more time to think about it. However, when I see a mess, there's multiple things moving on here. What I want to do is eliminate one of them. Which one is the easiest to eliminate?
The COVID concern?
COVID. I think COVID is. And you say, okay, let's just assume COVID isn't an issue. Let's have the conversation as if COVID wasn't an issue. Now, do you think the conversation could be a little bit more focused? And let's just say it's a year from now, or they have a pill now, or you get a spray tan, you don't get COVID or whatever. The COVID isn't an issue. So when you have, and again, the technique I want you guys to see is sometimes when people have got all these issues going on, attempt to untangle them. Take one of them off the table if you can. Take two of them off the table if you can, so you can deal. Or you can ask the question of these three things. You got, I know you're getting more money and it could be less later, and you don't know really where you want to go, and you got COVID. Which one is the most important? If you could eliminate one, which one would you eliminate? So we can have this conversation. So let's take COVID off the table. Then what would be your question? All right, I'll be the seller. All right, COVID's gone. I don't know where I'd go.
I think I'd try to ask if they have an idea what their home is worth and try to get the appointment to meet with them.
Okay, so I can play this because now you're talking about my house. Let's say it's worth 800 and you get me $1 million. I don't have any motivation to really sell. I like my house. Are you guys stumped?
Yeah, you take the motivation out. I am stumped.
Well, that is probably very profound. And here's the thing is that, and the point I wanted to make is as you make these calls, you're going to run into a couple different things. People are going to understand the economics of it. They just may not be motivated. And I don't have any, I don't want to date myself. I'm not Felix the cat. No one remembers Felix the cat. He had a bag of
I
tricks.
do.
All right, Paul, thank you so much for making me feel at least human. He could solve any problems if he reaches his bag of tricks. Here's the thing: what I want everyone to understand, and the veterans know this. You can't make a non-seller sell and a non-buyer buy. So you make the contact, and you won't close them. They'll understand everything. They're just not motivated to do it. Motivation is the key to everything. However, you had a great conversation with them, and you're going to stay in touch with them. And whether or not they're motivated now or not, it doesn't matter, because we're not attached to the outcome, and you want to leave that relationship on a positive note. One more thing I want to say real quick, and I had this experience happen this week. You know, I've been teaching about setting expectations and not setting prices, so stay with me here just for a moment, because this is probably pretty good. So my neighbor, a couple doors down, invited me over, and I had my daughter come over because she runs, works this market a lot and kind of does more of the, hands-on than I do. And so he wanted to see the house. And again, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to man up to my class about if I'm really doing what I'm teaching, right? So we're talking about the home, and I had a little bit of research done on the home, whatever. And what's interesting is that it came up in the conversation, and I'm always listening, that he had talked in this community. There's a lot of real estate agents. There's a lot of real estate agents in Florida, period. And he found out he had already talked to another couple agents. And so again, I don't know what question you would ask. I don't really care who they are. And I said, well, were there any consistencies in what the other agents gave you? He said, oh, that's why I got you over here, right? So now he's shopping for a price. And this is where I felt the pressure. Okay, I'm gonna have to come clean with my class. And so I said, well, in going back and going, and I'm gonna go share screen one more time, because I'm gonna show you exactly what I did on a piece of paper. And I got the commitment for the listing. It's this. Here's the thing. I said, and his name is Marlon. Marlon, here's the deal. Any agent that gives you a price and what they can sell it for is either lowballing or guessing. Because in this market, as you know, it's upward moving. The comparables aren't going to show you where it's going to happen next. I'm going to show you, and I drew this line, the top dollar, A and B. And I went through the process of how we work from a pricing standpoint. And I think we got into the point where, and I asked him the question, said, listen, if we agree on a price, are you committing or willing to work with me? And he said, yes. And he kept pressing me for a number. And I said, well, it's going to have, and he told me what the other numbers were, upper sixes, low sevens. And I know it's my neighborhood. I want the neighborhood to have the upward moving comps. And I said, well, the first number is going to be a 7. You can pick the second number. Then he comes back and says, well, if it's going to be your house, where would you price it? Now, I already had the commitment he was going to work with me. And so if we agreed on price, and I said, I would probably say north of mid 7s. Why? Because now the comparables would probably suggest 7. Why? Low inventory. We're going to stretch it up. One of 3 things can happen. So, I mean, I'm not on appointments a lot. However, I just want to let you know that this stuff does work, and I do practice what I preach to you guys. As far as I didn't give him a number, I just picked the first number. I let him pick this second number. I said, well, all right, if it's going to be north of 7 or mid 7s, what's the second number? And he even commented, well, you keep going back to the same question, don't you? Yes, I do, because I'm not going to answer it for him. And so we agreed on 775. Is it aggressive? Probably. It's okay. If he knows that if the market says no, because I went over the 3 things, he's going to capitulate. So that's the way it happens. And I don't know if you guys run into that in what you're doing or not. However, I'm a big believer in it, and I do kind of practice it. So is there anything you'd like to say? Any questions? I know I'm a few minutes over. Thanks for your staying on. anything you want to add or question, aha, in what we talked about today?
Just what you've always preached. If there's motivation, take the listen.
There you go. I'm watching this new Netflix series because I read about it online. It's Cobra Kai. It's like an add-on to the Karate Kid. It's kind of good family stuff. It's brainless. It's a little bit silly sometimes. However, if you're not watching it, you should watch it. It reminds me of mastering what you're doing, right? So thanks for being on the call. Again, no call Thursday. If I can be of help to you, let me know. Text me, email me. And if you haven't already, please go sign up or subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Denny.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks, Danny. Excellent call.
Thanks, Denny.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Good luck, Jenny.
Thank you.
Go Bucks. If we can beat you guys, we might have a chance. You guys are the reigning champions of the South.
Well, we can get